Today we're removing the old toilet because we want to put it in storage, and this is very important for us for resale. So if the next owners don't want a composting toilet, then we could easily return it. So what we have to do is, to start with, I'm going to measure all of this to see what the dimensions are and to see what size composting toilet we can fit. Another thing is that there are bolts down here. We're going to be removing those bolts and unbolting the toilet, and we're going to tie off this water hose right here so that we can, well, because we don't need water with the composting toilet, we want to make sure that that water doesn't leak when we're hooked up to city water. And then we're going to remove the toilet. We're going to plug it. We got a plug from the hardware store. And then we're going to put the toilet in storage, and that way the next buyers or the next owners will have you know, the standard toilet if they want it. And for us, we don't have to, you know, travel around the US and Canada with it. We'll have it here in storage because we're not going to be using it. So we're gonna get started.
So I gotta remove this guy right here, and luckily the only tool that I have, because a ratchet won't fit, is this guy. And yeah, for some reason I had one like this. So after I got these little bolts out, now I have to unscrew this guy, which is the water hose, I guess. Never done this before.
I have a towel for you.
So I gotta unscrew this guy, and I believe after I remove this, the toilet should be loose. So let's see.
You unplug the water, you have to put this towel underneath it, and it's going to catch all the drips.
I don't think it should
Or
be.
it should catch most of them.
Yeah, exactly what I thought. No water. So, yeah. I think we're pretty much there. This somewhere.
Okay, so
this is out.
the water is off, the bolts are off, so now the toilet's just sliding off, and we're going to show you what's here. The tank has been emptied, actually. We never used it, and we swished around some of the chemicals while we were driving. So hopefully the plug that we fit is going to fit in here. I got a 3-inch plug, and apparently that's the one that's supposed to close it off. So we're going to get rid of this bad boy. It's a tiny little guy. It's not going to take up much room in storage, so that's the good news. The piece that we need to plug it is here. It looks like it's too small, but I really hope it fits. If not, we'll be back, and these are to plug the water. So now, the 3-inch plug that I bought is not the right size. I just, based on a bunch of videos I'd seen, that's what I purchased at the hardware store just in case. But it doesn't fit, so now we're gonna take some measurements of the bathroom, of the hole. Even the pieces to close off the hose was not the right piece. So we're also gonna have to get some pictures and maybe show the people at the hardware store. So that's what I'm gonna do now. I'm gonna take some measurements. It's more like 3 3/4 inches. This here is the pipe that vents to the outside, so it's already venting. It's already venting the black tank to the outside, so that if we needed to vent the toilet, the manufacturer or the owner of Seahead says that we probably won't need to vent the Seahead, but if we do, we could vent it here. There is also a possibility of venting it through the window, but we don't want to do that. I would prefer to go through this PVC pipe if we do need to vent. And okay, and so then for this one, so this is like, okay, so this is a PVC pipe for the water, and the size of the hole is, and we're gonna have to get into millimeters here, it's about slightly less than an inch. So in millimeters, it's about 23, hang on, no, that's 25, 24, yeah, it's about 23 millimeters. And it's really just, all we need to do is find a piece that's going to screw into it and stop the flow of water. Of course, we'll put the Teflon tape in there to prevent leaks, and then that can just be hidden away over here behind the toilet once the toilet is installed. So what we're going to do is we're going to head to the hardware store, get the pieces that we need. Hopefully we'll be able to find them. I'm hoping that, I don't know what we're going to do about these. Hopefully these are not going to be a problem, these bolts that are sticking up.
So after removing the toilet, we realized that the plug is too small for the hole. So we actually just came to the Home Hardware, which is nearby. So hopefully we're gonna get the right parts that we need and finish up the work on the Casita. It's funny, that's camping, right? You plan, but it never ends up working.
Okay, so now is the moment of truth. They are not quite the dimensions that we measured. Maybe we were a little off in our measurements. We're hoping that we were, and we're hoping that these fit. So, crossing my fingers. This is a 4-inch. Please! Oh, perfect, it fits. It fits! Now we just gotta wedge it down as much as we can. Oh, I'm so glad this fits. Oh, that's perfect. Perfect 4-inch fit. Okay, so once that's down in there, then this is tightening the seal. So the outside ribs, they expand to tighten the seal, which is good because we don't want any fumes, or, well, there weren't really any fumes. It wasn't that stinky. Hadn't been really used. Anyway, we swished around some water and chemical in there to rinse it out. So it looks like it's pretty good. I think at this point now our biggest challenges are going to be these bolts here. We'll see what's going to happen with those. So now I'm excited to see if I have the right piece to shut off the water. I mean, otherwise removing the toilet in here was a lot easier than I really anticipated, and we always say that we're not very handy, so please. Oh yes, it fits. That's awesome. Okay, I gotta go get the Teflon tape so to really create a good seal. Alright, so the first hardware store we went to was Rona, so I should be able to return all the pieces that I had from Rona. And then at Home Hardware here in Maryville, we have our trailer parked in Maryville for the next few months. And oh my god, they were so helpful over there. Honestly, they take a lot of time. And you know, sometimes that's the difference between these small hardware stores and, well, I know that Home Hardware is a big brand, but sometimes when you go to the big box stores, I mean, they don't have enough staff and they don't have a lot of time to help you because there's so many people in line, and sometimes that makes a difference between a small store with lots of staff in a small town like this. So yeah, this is a very, very snug fit, and even maybe Dorian will get you to come and tighten it, or maybe I could use a tool to tighten that. Next step is done. I'm so excited. Stay tuned, guys. The next step is going to be to see which toilet we're getting, also to see if we can create like a plywood base that the toilet's going to go onto. So we're going to take some nice measurements here. Maybe grab a plastic bag and cut it out to the exact measurements. That would help the people that are cutting the wood for us to have an idea of the measurements. So now we're going home. We're going to figure out which toilet we need. We took all the measurements, got all the dimensions, and see if we can get a little bit of an idea of where to go next. I think what we're doing is we're going to be making a plywood that kind of keeps the toilet in place, but also elevates it from the pins that are sticking out of the toilet. So stay tuned. Hey guys, it's Doria and Mena, and we've been on the road for a month and a week. So I think it's about time we get our toilet installed. What do you think? So we've already done the unboxing, but we're going to show you exactly what's in the box. So our beautiful sea head. If you want to come take a closer look, this is what it looks like. This is where the crank goes, and that stirs up all that good stuff. Okay, so your liquid waste goes there, and your solid waste goes there. You got to keep it separated. That's the golden rule with composting toilets. And I'll show you what's in here. So this is for your solid waste, and you put your cocoa core in there with a little bit of water, and you're gonna mix it, the handle, I don't remember how many times, but I'll get back to you on that one. And this is just a standard 1 gallon jug. And the good thing about this, so this is for your liquid waste, and the good thing about this is that you can replace it every now and again without having to order it from Seahead. So that's the nice thing about this guy. Now, there's a particular way that you want to pick this toilet up, because up here, this is a very heavy plastic. So you can only pick it up from here and one of the corners, like this. I guess that's not to damage the hard plastic at the top. It's very awkward, I must admit. Or I suppose you could hold it from the bottom. So just keep that in mind so you don't damage the toilet when you get it. All right, next. And that was $629 US. Yeah. Those are the instructions on how to carry it. We got a little kit in case later on we decide to vent the toilet. Apparently it's not necessary, but in case we want to do that later on, we have the pieces right here, very safe in my hands, clearly. And this is the rubber latch tie-down kit, so that's going to enable us to attach it to the piece of plywood, or if you're attaching it directly to your RV, you could attach that to your RV with this. And the instructions. So they recommend that you put something here between the toilet and the wall to support the toilet seat, and that's because, once again, it's very heavy plastic, and I guess it's fragile, so that's what they recommend. This also came with the venting kit, but we're probably not going to use it for right now, but that also will help you vent it outside in case you want to do that. I'll show you the setup here, what I figured out. So this is it. This is the size. This is what it looks like in a Casita. And because I don't want to permanently install this to the fiberglass, because this is probably not our forever tiny home, I did some makeshift stuff here that I'm going to have to secure down to the fiberglass at some point, probably with like some double-sided tape or some industrial Velcro or something like that. So I used leveling blocks on the bottom, and then I used these gym pads or kids play area pads to bring the plywood up above the screws. It's sticking out, and that's what attaches the toilet to the Casita. So I needed to get this toilet above that and the plywood above that. So that's how I kind of stacked it up. And then we're going to install the rubber latch tie down kit. That's going to attach the toilet to the plywood. Then I'm going to secure the leveling blocks and the mats to the plywood and to the fiberglass. And then I'll still be able to take this out of here every once in a while when I need to. And then we're gonna be able to use our toilet. So let's see how this works. So for now, we are going to attach the toilet to the plywood with the rubber latch tie-down kit, and we got some tools from Home Depot especially for that. So let's get started. So I already made an outline here of where I want the toilet to go. So I'm just going to put the toilet on here, and from there I'm going to attach the kit. Okay, so you want this 1 inch back from this corner here on both sides. Okay, so I'm going to mark that. Make sure it's in the guide hole.
Okay.
Turns out that the drill stripped it, unfortunately. So we only have one that's really secured in place. So we're going to use a screwdriver because the drill stripped one of the holes, which is obviously not ideal. I almost don't want to tighten it too much because I don't want to strip it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that should be fine.
Okay.
Should probably do the job. To hold this while I
Mark it.
Yeah. So I'm creating a guide hole so I know where to drill, but I think I'm going to need some help with this. Okay, so I got the nail as a guide in there. I hope I don't step on the leader. Okay, so we put some, oh wait, you need safety goggles.
I have some glasses.
Okay, fine. So here goes nothing. Oh, that was beautiful. Nice. Get her out. Okay, next. I think I'm supposed to make a hole for that little nib that's down there. Push this So I bought this thing. Apparently I didn't need to. Putting this on. Can you hold this up?
Yep.
Okay, so and then the washer, right? And then this. So the other screws didn't work. It got stripped, so we had to use these longer screws. I think they're probably 1 1/4 inch. Works. So that's good. Okay, so now, so this is in. I just want to create a little guide hole for that little thing that's sticking out. So I'm going to do it, start it off here with the nail. Yeah, that's about right. So there we go, and then the other side. Attach these little guides here, and that'll just hold that in place. Okay, so one in the front, one in the back, and then one on each side. I mean, the video says to do it like this so that you know where it is, and then screw it down from there. We'll see if that works. This is what the video says to do. These were pretty straightforward, so this kind of holds it in place. And we realized that one of these sides is the wrong way. So this is the one that's the wrong way. Doesn't make a difference, but this, instead of being tilted inwards, it should be tilted outwards so it's easier to open, but it's still gonna work. So honestly, it's all good. So that's it. So let's take this sucker off so you guys can see. There you go. That's how she fits in place. Now we have to attach this to the 7 layers in the actual bathroom. So to attach the leveling blocks to the Casita, we're going to try this permanent outdoor mounting tape, and it's a double-sided tape, and we want just enough adhesive but not too much adhesive so that we could eventually take it off if we need to resell the Casita and someone wants the regular toilet. So we have 1 layer, 2 layers, 3 layers, and this is the first layer. And as you can see, it's a lot of makeshift mats and leveling blocks. So I am banking on this working, and we shall see. So I've secured the bottom layer with the double-sided mounting tape, and it seems to be good with the leveling blocks. This foam though, it doesn't stick to anything, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that, because it's still gonna, like, there's several layers and I feel like it's gonna move. So this is to be continued. I think we're gonna make do for now like this until we come up with an idea on how to attach the plywood to the foam and have all the foam secured in place. I'm not quite sure. Anyway, to be continued. So what's important to note here, guys, is that Dory is wearing some gloves and some protective eyewear, and we're gonna get started. That was a pretty easy process?
Pretty easy.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is our setup for the bottom, and now you can see these have been cut down substantially. We noticed that there was a lot of excess. We cut down a third, so now I'm replacing these. Yeah. So okay, so there's a lift here, so we had originally put these here to kind of lift it up. The double-sided tape, I had a hard time taking it off. I'm putting it back on because we want the platform, so I'm going to be putting a bunch of these around here, okay, because there's still some height to these bolts. I'm putting this back where it was originally, which was right there. And again, we're elevating it so it clears these bolts. So now I had run out of double-sided tape, that's why I'm not putting any, but it's a good idea to use that. So you use double-sided tape on each surface. We found that we didn't need to because the toilet and the plywood is heavy enough. So putting that down, and then next I'm putting my full layer of these gym mats. So now it looks like I'm only going to need 2 of these, which is great. Instead of 3. So it won't be as elevated, it'll be a little bit more stable and less tippy. So now we have our plywood, and once again, you could make this more stable by putting double-sided tape between each layer. We've found that it's not necessary because the actual toilet is very heavy and it stays in place really, really well. So we've actually reduced 1 layer of thickness, which is probably about 1/2 inch. And it doesn't seem like a lot, doesn't sound like a lot, but it's going to make a huge difference. And already we use a little ladder to get, a little step stool to get up on here, onto the toilet. So it's just going to be easier, we're going to knock our heads less, and it's just going to make for a better overall install. Once again, this is not a permanent installation because we're not drilling into the Casita, we're not using a whole heck of a lot of double-sided tape, although I do recommend it to increase the stability of this, but we found that we don't need to because the toilet is very heavy and it stays in place really well. So now let's go put in the toilet. Okay guys, this toilet is super heavy. Okay. So now, can you see these?
Mm-hmm.
So now we're securing it into place on each side. And wow, honestly, it seems like not much of a difference, but it's a big difference. Even from standing, I can get onto the toilet where before I couldn't at all. We had to use a step stool. So I'm really, really happy with this. Cutting down the bolts, it didn't make a big difference, but it made enough of a difference for us to notice. And this is, oh yeah, this is way less tippy. So that's how we installed the composting toilet in our Casita, and so far we love the composting toilet and we would never go to a black tank. We've never used a black tank. We've never wanted to. We won't ever use one unless, say, we're renting an RV for some reason. But it's so easy, and originally last winter we didn't use it for solid waste that much, maybe twice, but it worked fine. And this trip that we've been on in Newfoundland and Nova Scotia, we've been using it quite a lot and we still love it. So we give it 2 thumbs up, and remember that we purchased a Sea Head, and the owner of the Sea Head company, Sandy, he's awesome on email. He was very, very quick to respond to all of our questions, and he supports you during the install. We could have gone with the Nature's Head, but it was a lot more expensive, and we didn't see the need to spend $300 or $400 more for the same thing. We also prefer the Sea Head because of the gallon jug for the liquid waste. It's easy to replace, it's easy to empty, it's just easier. And if we wanted to replace the jug for the Nature's Head, I think it's about $40, where you can buy a gallon jug of water, drink the water, and then use it for your liquid waste afterwards. If ever you decide that you want to go to composting toilets, this is the one that we've tried. This was our first composting toilet, and we've had nothing but good experiences with it. I'm clearly a novice at this. I'm sure that a lot of people out there are shaking their heads wondering why I'm doing it this way. I think last year I did it with an axe. Let me tell you, this stuff is dry. Holy.
So what is this?
This is cocoa core, and it's the medium that we use for our composting toilet. So we have to rehydrate it so we can put it in the toilet, and this is for the solid waste.
And how you hydrate it?
You add a little bit of water, a little bit at a time, and you want it to be well, not moist. You want it to be damp, but not wet. So you add a little bit of water at a time. And last year our composting toilet worked out really well for us, although we only used it a couple times for solid waste, I'll be honest. But we mostly used it for liquid waste. And for that, it was great. It was a lifesaver for the liquid waste.
Especially all the times we were using Boondockers Welcome.
Well, not just that, you know, sometimes you stop by the side of the road and you want to take pictures, but there are no gas stations for miles.
Or clean washrooms around.
Yeah, true. Okay, so that should be enough, because it's really condensed when it's dry, and then when it's damp it takes up more space. The volume increases. So let's try that. We hope you like this video, and give us a thumbs up, comments below, questions, and subscribe to follow our adventures.